Welcome to our channel. This is Peter Chow, your host. Now, before we go ahead with our topic for today, there are a couple of things I want to point out. This program is being produced strictly for your information and educational purposes only. If you have a particular legal situation, I would advise you to go see a lawyer because, as you know, law is very fact specific. Sometimes you might have a situation you think that what we talked about is applicable to your situation, but in fact, you may be wrong. So again, if you have a particular situation in law, a legal issue, you should go see a lawyer to get the consultation from that lawyer. So having said that, this program is designed basically to give you educational information and about somewhat basic law. The topic today is on rental agreement. Now, rental agreement is a pretty lengthy topic. I'm gonna have to break it up into probably like maybe 5 to 6 episodes. Okay, so every episode I'll deal with only one particular topic. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about what is a rental agreement. What consists of a rental agreement? Rental agreement is basically a contract. So as a contract law will apply, and also some of the real estate law will also apply. So when we talk about rental agreement, it's extremely important to distinguish between the agreement for residential purposes, something you're going to live in, or a commercial lease, something you're going to be operating a business in, because the law covering those two types of leases are very different sometimes. As you can imagine, a residential lease, they try to give the tenants a lot of protections that a commercial lease doesn't have. Some of the protection that they give under state law, whether or not you put in the agreement, they're already there. They're implied into every single agreement. So the tenant will be protected for certain things, for a number of things. And then the next issue will be whether or not the agreement is going to be oral or is it going to be written. People may ask, aren't they all written agreements when it comes to lease? Well, it turns out it's not. The law is pretty simple. If any rental agreement for more than a year, those have to be in writing. Anything less than a year can be oral. Now, the oral agreement is never advisable for a very simple fact. They're complex, right? Most people would think that, well, as long as I put in the name of the party, who the landlord is, who are the tenants, the address of the property, how much is to be paid every month, and by when, and all that. That's it, right? It turns out it's a lot more than that. Because as we said earlier, a rental agreement, they come with a number of things that are in the agreement with or without writing, right? The tenant will get protection just because of residential rental agreement. For example, heating device, right? Landlord has to provide that. But on the other hand, air conditioning is not under this implied warranty. So you could be renting a little place in Palm Springs. The summer hit 110, 115. The air conditioning breaks down. Who's responsible for that? Well, it depends on the agreement now. If it's not an agreement, then the landlord's not liable for it. Okay. So that's why it's always put the agreement in writing, so that way you know who's covering what, who's responsible to pay for what. So the third issue that we're dealing with here is what type of arrangement do you have? Basically, we're going to talk about 3 types. One's what we call month to month. Okay, you pay the rent to stay in a certain place from month to month. They could be terminated, right? Now, of course, the termination is a little bit more complex than that. California law says that if you have been living in a place for more than a year, if the landlord wants to terminate the lease, he will have to give you a 60-day notice to vacate. If you stay there for less than a year, a 30-day notice will be sufficient. So month to month, that's pretty easy to understand. The next one is called periodic. Okay, it can be for 2 months, 3 months, but the main thing here is that they repeat themselves, right? Unless one party gives notice that I'm not renewing the lease. So they renew themselves, right? It could be month to month. Month to month is a type of periodic lease. It could be 6 months. It could be seasonal. The most common type that we're dealing with is what they call fixed term lease. Those are the ones that has an end date. For example, you're leasing an apartment from the landlord starting from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020. Has a specific end date to it. Those are called fixed term lease. So at the end of the lease, the tenants expect to leave. The landlord does not need to give notice. Now, that has changed quite a little bit now, because of the new law that kicks in called AB 1482, which we'll be covering in the next episode, right? But absent that, if your property is not covered by the 1482, the statewide rent control law, the tenant must leave the premises at the end of the lease, right? Unless they work out some other arrangement to renew the lease, extend the lease, right? The landlord does not give notice here. The reason we have to distinguish what type of lease you have, what type of arrangement you have, either month to month, periodic, or fixed term, is that will determine what type of notice the landlord will to give you to evict you. Now, next time we'll be talking about AB 1482. It changes all that. So back to the notice now. It doesn't matter what type of arrangement you have, periodic, month to month, or fixed term. The basic rule is that if the tenant has been there for more than a year, the landlord must give 60-day notice. If the tenant has been there for less than 1 year, a 30-day notice will be sufficient. Now, don't forget though, if you have the contract itself can change all that. This is only the matter of state law, right? If the party themselves do not provide for a different type of notification, this will kick in. You guys, tenants and landlord can always change all this by contract. Okay, so everything is negotiable. It's the contract. Okay, so again, we're done for this topic today. Again, if you like our topic, you like our discussion, subscribe to us. Give us a like. That will give us a lot of support to keep going. And the most importantly, I would like to hear from you. So your comment, your request for different topics are always important to us, because this is the only way I get to know what matters to you. Okay, so again, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give us a like. I'll see you next time. Thank you.